Welcome to Season 1 of Ben Snap and Chat, Episode 4, Love, Sex, and Chronic Illness. I'm your host, Cristie alongside
Drake Jensen.
And we're going to have an interesting conversation today.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
Are we aging ourselves with that one?
Hey.
So, I've been thinking...
Hold on 1 second, okay? There's something I got to do. I have my air filter running. Can you hear my air filter running?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Okay, so I'll leave it on then. Okay, as long as you guys can't hear it, it's okay.
Okay. No, right. We're good. I don't hear anything.
Sorry. Okay, back to our regular scheduled program.
Just with a little interruption, we are back. So I've recently gotten out of a relationship, and I've really been thinking a lot about modern dating, and with everything going on in the world, there seems to be a shift happening in dating. A lot more women are choosing to be single, and a lot of men seem to be confused about why. And then when you have chronic illness, like we do, things get even more complicated.
I'm so complicated. I'm so frustrated. Oh, sorry. I'm very distracted by music today, as you can
see. There's something in the energy of the air today, I think.
There's a song about everything, though.
Yeah, that's true, too. Mm-hmm. All right, Daddy Drake. Okay. Let's get into the real question.
Here I am.
All right. When do you disclose that, you might dislocate a shoulder mid-hug? If you're getting to know someone, there's a lot of discussion around that in our community. When do you disclose your health? What do you think?
So I had a partner leave our relationship because I don't think he could handle the fact I was sick.
Same.
After that experience where so I went crazy, right? So we know that I had a C1 rotation off C2, and it really affected everything. I'm finally back to normal.
Amazing.
But, we were in a poly relationship. There was 3 of us for 7 years.
Okay.
And when I got ill, one just decided to leave. That was too much of a liability, and I was just too crazy to be around anymore. And on one side of the coin, I guess, it's tough, and I understand. And on the other side of the coin, how gutless.
Yeah.
How gutless and how thin-spined some people can be. So with saying that, and being over the relationship at the moment, thankfully, and knowing that was a very good thing that happened, because I believe everything that happens in our life, teaches us life lessons, and we learn from it. And these people bestow good things on us, even though we think it's bad. So, I don't know. It's been a long time since I dated, because I've been in a relationship for 18 years. But I do know that I think it wouldn't be the topic of conversation on the first date.
Why not?
I don't know. I think because I'm not because of me, but because more of the other person. Yeah. Because of my experience right now.
I guess. See,
when you have somebody run away because of it.
Yeah.
Because he ran away.
Yeah.
He literally ran away.
Yeah.
And that's totally changed my mind about loyalty and caused a couple of trust issues for a while.
Yeah.
Not anymore, because I realized that, Michael's been here for 18 years. We've been together, and he knew what had happened to me was he watched the downhill slide.
Yeah.
And it was, he was reasonable enough to be able to, thank God, to be able to stay and fight through it with me, because it was a real fight to get me better again.
Yeah.
Because I had neurological damage, apparently. So, and still do. Yeah. But I'm not like I was. I was crazy for a while. Like I said, I own my shit. I always have. I own my shit. I'm not infallible. I'm human. And everybody else out there should feel the same way. But for me, no, I wouldn't. I don't know, unless it, was a direct topic and they were disclosing something, that I would, maybe on the second or third time. For me. Yeah. Under my current, now, if I didn't have that experience where one ran away, I might feel totally different.
So my experience, a few weeks before it ended, and I don't mean to trigger anyone by saying this, but my ex called me a useless cripple. And that was one of that was like pretty much the start of the end. And even regardless of that, for me, because my health impacts, it's not my personality, it's not my identity, but it does impact my entire life. And so for me, when I had first met him, I was very open from the start. And I think I don't regret doing that. And I think whenever the time may come where I'm open to dating again, which is not right now,
we'll take applications when you're ready.
I will keep you posted.
Comments below.
But I don't know. I think I feel like I wouldn't want to hide that because I talk about it, like I share stuff on social media about my health. It's just, to me, it's part of me. And if you're going to date me and if you're going to be in my life, that comes with understanding that I might have to cancel every once in a while.
Right.
My health was going to flare. You know, like I have to pace myself. I can't spend 24/7 every single, like I have to pace myself.
So your ideology is tell them right away, and if they go running, it's just you've just dodged a bullet.
Exactly. Like you're better off without them probably anyways, because if they're going to judge you on that
point,
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to that.
I'm with you. Okay, sure. I get it. I think both our current experiences of past, dealing with men, has influenced how we think about it. Isn't that interesting?
It
just goes
to
show you how conditioned we get by our experiences, and this is where we have to be really careful.
Exactly. And this fear of like being too much. Like I've dealt with that internalized ableism of like, is somebody going to want to be with me because I have all these things?
Oh, I'm already too much. I already know this. Before the EDS, I already know I'm too much. But I'm an artist. I'm an artist, and I'm really off the wall, and you never know what's coming. And I'm sometimes hard to be with. And
that's all of us.
Yeah,
that's everybody.
Beyond the EDS, I can be a total pain in the ass, and I can be both a good one and I can be a bad one. So we can talk about that later too.
We definitely can.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's where we stand both kind of on what we'd be expecting in the next life of relationships.
For sure. I like how you phrased that, the next life.
Well, and I think, we all need to be, it's not about needing, it's about becoming cumulative beings of our experiences, right? What we have to be careful of, and I think you made a very good point about the EDS thing. So the EDS thing complicates relationships. We all know this. But the one thing that I think can be really complicated in a relationship with somebody with EDS, I'm going to catch shit here for this, is when the person is living their disease and not living with their disease.
Which are two completely different things.
Yeah. So I often say to people's like, oh, what's it like? What's it feel like? I'm like, well, I have EDS. I said, but EDS doesn't have me.
It's amazing. That's like the way to look at that. Perception is so important.
I did everything. Yeah. So once I realized, I'm like, okay, this is crisis here. Then I started to do the elimination thing where I would do something. And if it triggered something, I would eliminate. And I've been doing that for 2 years now. And this is what's gotten me to the point, because we all know we're on individualistic journeys with EDS. They call it a syndrome because it's an umbrella of things that affect people in many different ways because everybody has different genetics. So what works for me doesn't work for you, works for you doesn't work for me, and so on and so on. And they told two friends, and what happened was nobody figured it out because you have to figure it out yourself. And that was my journey, right?
Well, so it was similar to mine.
So for me to be able to exist in my current relationship, which takes a lot of work, is for me to know boundaries and for him to know boundaries. And to know if I'm having a bad day, he's cooking supper. Like right now, we're at a point after 18 years where he knows that.
So there's no words that need to be said. He can just tell that today's not the day.
Yeah, he knows. He knows by how I look.
Okay.
Yeah. I look bad. Sometimes I look bad. Sometimes the physical fatigue takes its,
it's
toll.
hard being in pain all the time.
Well, especially now with the weather change. Like, so now I'm a grumpy, chronic, acute arthritis guy.
Yeah.
It's acute right now. So it's hurting.
Hard. It's hard when things flare.
Yeah. So, you know, sex right now, we're talking about relationships, and we're talking about sex today. And, you know,
these things have changed.
No sex for a couple of weeks. It's been a little rough, you know, because I'm, you know, it is what it is. And he knows, and he's very understanding to that. And I will come around after this damp weather is over and I don't feel like my body's 95 years old.
Yeah.
You know that feeling.
Oh, when I hear, oh, you're too young to be in that much pain or to feel like that, I'm like,
you're too young to have cancer.
Right?
What a weird thing.
It's
the
really
weird things. So this is the things that people say to us when they're uncomfortable, right? And we can't.
And they don't know what to say.
We can't blame them. They're uncomfortable. They don't know what to say to you.
I know. My dad will say it sometimes, and he says it now because he had a stroke, and so he doesn't always put context very well now. That's something that he's definitely working on, the cognitive abilities. So he'll say, oh, well, wait until you're my age. And I'm like, oh, Dad. And then he'll be like, oh, yeah, okay. I forgot about the EDS and all the other things.
Now, when I say wait until you're my age, I mean by life experience.
Yes. Yeah.
It's life experience more than anything when I say that stuff, because I know that people with EDS are like, oh my God, you can be 20 and feel like you're 80. I get it. I run the men's page on Facebook, the men with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And I see so many stories, like younger guys that are just in peril with this stuff, you know, and they're dealing with kids and they're dealing with their wives or they're dealing with their boyfriends. And it's really messy and it's really, really complicated.
So I know one of the things with your men's group that you want to encourage them to talk more, because they're not necessarily in men are socialized to keep it down and not talk about how they're feeling and how they're doing.
Right.
But have you guys had any conversations about dating and dating with EDS, or is that not really a topic that's come up at all?
I think you should make a post.
Okay.
And ask them. They like you. It seems they respond to you.
Okay. Well, that's very nice.
I noticed that.
I'm very welcomed.
Yeah, it was really nice. I
appreciate that.
Yeah. They like responding to you. I noticed when you made a post, they were all talking back, which was really nice. Make a post about it.
Can I be honest? Before I actually made that first post, there was a part of me as a woman surrounded in a group that's mostly men, and with a lot of what's going on now, I honestly, there was a few times where I questioned, like, should I wasn't sure how I was going to be responded to, because a lot of times online, the messages, responses, stuff that I get from men are very sexual, and that I wanted to be.
No, I never thought.
I didn't feel that. I know, but this is a woman having to think about all of these things before even making a simple little post.
Well, okay. So there's another page called the Sextacular Zebras.
Okay.
And there's men and women in that page.
Okay.
On that page. And they get into it the other day about snowballing. We talked about this.
You were explaining what, and they're
all in the men, the EDS men.
Yeah.
Because I seen a few of them that are on our page.
Yeah.
And they joined in the conversation. And it was like male and female didn't even exist at that point. They were talking about the sensation of human sexuality.
Which is amazing to be able to have those conversations.
One of the guys from the page just chimed in and explained to a woman what snowballing was.
Because I wouldn't have known.
I was like, oh, good on him.
That's awesome.
For not feeling like that she was going to accuse him of being a predator. Because I'm sure a lot of men feel that way too. I can
imagine.
Real men that aren't like crazy and hierarchical and misogynistic, we do feel that way. We do feel that way. Masculine men like me feel threatened by all of this, like the whole thing on Netflix. That bothers me, because then a lot of people get the idealism that, masculine men are all bad.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about masculinity and
Am I all over the place today? Sorry if
no,
okay.
no, it's good. It's
Sorry,
good
everybody.
because
ADHD.
we have lots to talk about. But
Yep.
yeah, he was referencing there's a new documentary on Netflix called Inside the Manosphere, and it was, if you haven't watched it and you're a woman, you're gonna rage, and if you're a man watching it, I hope you can see it from a different lens, because a lot of the stuff that is coming out is all like this trickle down of patriarchy and how that impacts everyday life and dating and how women and men interact with each other.
Great. On the straight side.
On the straight side.
So we have a whole other complication on my side.
Yes.
So we have man, and we also have woman.
Yeah.
And we also have mix.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of people who identify as different things who are mixing now with all of these different ideologies.
Yeah.
There's lots of problems.
It's complicated. It's a lot. And how do we navigate that, especially in the landscape of right now? Because for the first time in history, women have a choice between, like, historically, we were property. We were either property of our fathers and then property of our husbands. And that is reflected in how men, in my perception, have treated women. Mm-hmm. And it's all based on this patriarchy.
See, I have such a different ideology than that, because not only did I, when I was 16 years old, left school and went into a classroom with 22 other women.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And me. So there was 22 women and me. So I became part of the vagina club.
Okay.
I became part of periods, Tampax, tampons, IUDs, yeast infections, urinary tract infections, PMS.
You've heard it all.
Relationship problems.
Yeah.
And that stemmed, that was a stem of deep rooted emotional issues in my life for 30 years as I stood behind a chair and listened to women every day of my life.
So how did that impact you as a man?
I have a complete neutrality, so I'm able to see it.
Yeah.
I'm able to
and
see
in
it.
Your conversations with like straight men, does that even come up in conversation? Like, do you guys talk about masculinity or
I think a lot of straight guys are threatened by people like me.
Interesting.
So when I released On My Way to Finding You, we made a video in Van Cleek Hill, and it was Michael and I, and Michael was driving towards me and coming up the driveway, and there was the hug, and we went up in the house together, and we ended up on the radio show in Knoxville, Tennessee about this. This made news.
I love that.
And they were like, oh, they were wearing their Carhartt jackets and they had their boots on, and there was trucks and everything in this video. And I could just hear, we have it. We recorded it off the internet.
Yeah.
And but what you hear through this whole thing, because down in the South, right, this is where your most toxic masculinity is.
Yeah.
Just take the Bible Belt, like North Carolina, South Carolina, and on down. And I'm not saying everybody, but there is an ideology in men, in the U.S. and in a lot of them here too.
Yeah.
But when they see guys like me, and then they figure out you're gay, they feel threatened by that, because they have in their head, this is them. They own all of these things. They own Carhartt, and they own the boots and the hats and the jackets, and they own the demeanor. And if somebody else has that demeanor who's not like them, they become very threatened, even if it is another man.
Because what does it say about them?
Well, it makes them uncomfortable that they could be sitting next to somebody who was, kind of maybe shining on them, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. That's how it was. And it's still kind of like that. And in country music, it's awful, because how many big gay country stars do you know that are like Nashville people? None.
Yeah.
TJ Osborne. And he was in the Osbournes, and they had a record deal and were on the radio long before he ever came out. And that would have never happened if he had come out before. No, because there's a whole very toxic bunch of people, and they have an ideology about what a man should be. And that has caused problems, and it causes problems in gay relationships too. So it's all very complicated.
It's so complicated. I
So
also
frustrated. Oh, sorry.
it's like the ADHD is like uh, too funny. I think part of the issue, and I think a lot of men, like you were talking about one of your friends having this like feeling extremely lonely, and there's this you hear about like this male loneliness epidemic that's happening, and I think it's because women are no longer property. We're allowed to choose who and if and when we decide to be in a relationship. And I think historically, a lot of men just felt entitled to women and never really had to do a lot of emotional
I think in
work.
my father's generation, that was really prevalent.
Yeah. But look at who, all of these things with the Epstein file, like that's that kind of generation and that mentality that has continued to
But you know
trickle
what's really
down
bad
through
about the whole
generations.
thing is that
What?
his collector was a woman. We have to
Really?
remember that. We have to remember that Epstein's collector was a woman. She collected the
Eh,
girls. So we have a
yeah, but
people.
this is also an issue with like, there are women that hold up the patriarchy. I think there's a misunderstanding. Will you indulge me? I want to do a little education. And just, so
Oh, I understand what you're going to
misogyny,
say. I totally get it. I know what you're going to
but
say.
but a lot of men don't
Oh, yeah,
understand
yeah. Go ahead
this.
then. Yeah.
So misogyny is the hatred of women. Misandry is the hatred of men. The patriarchy is based on systems that are rooted in misogynistic beliefs that oppress women. And this is where, now, the next one is where people get confused because they think that feminism, because the patriarchy is focused on oppressing women, that the feminism focuses on women and the hatred of women towards men. And it's not that.
No.
Feminism wants to bring down the systems of oppression of the patriarchy.
It just
And I
wants to be
think
equal.
men, yeah, but men, I think, take that personally. So if a woman says I'm a feminist, or a man would say that he's a feminist, there's a misunderstanding of what that actually means.
Mm.
And I think that's part of the bigger issue. Like when I watched that Manosphere, it was scary. Like they really think that women are there to clean for them, to do their laundry, to
Oh, there's people that my
serve.
father was like that. I
But
grew up in
that's
a house like that. When my mother ended up in the hospital, he was lost. He couldn't turn the washing machine on. I could.
but that's the big problem, is that men are like, well, why can't I be in a relationship? Well, you need to grow from that kind of
Yeah,
thinking.
I mean, this is on the straight side. I'm totally. I have to shift my mind. Sorry, because I'm so gay
Sorry.
oriented. Um,
I apologize.
yeah, see, because it's then we're going
It's
to have to.
different.
It's really different. We have to
It
start talking
is.
like even in gay relationships, it's really complicated. And then sometimes you get like men in the gay community that are just like that, but they want a man like that.
Exactly.
They want a man like that
It's
because
a brain.
they have that ideology. So
But
it's
this is where the women come into play as well, because there are so many women that are upholding the patriarchy with those outdated beliefs, and
yeah,
they're passing them on.
like Maxwell and like
Yes,
Levitt and
all of,
they're all brainwashed. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the thing that I really noticed when I was watching that documentary
I gotta
is
watch it.
it's really interesting.
Yeah.
It might make you mad,
I don't
but it
like things.
might.
Everything's making me mad lately. I don't need anything else to
Sorry.
make me mad.
Then maybe don't watch that right
No, I
now.
don't think I should.
Yeah. But there's this misunderstanding that men, that we're against men,
No, I don't
and we're
believe that at all.
not.
No, I
But
don't
a lot
believe
of
that for a
people,
second.
I think a lot of men think that. And we don't. We want you to grow. Honestly, if I can give one piece of advice for the straight men out there who want to have relationships with women that are positive for both of you, go to therapy. We all have trauma and challenges and things that we've had to endure in our lives, and especially those of us that have health issues. If we don't deal with those core issues, and men and women, but men are taught you're not allowed to talk, you're not allowed to cry, you're not allowed to do these things.
Oh yeah, the repression, right?
And that's where at some point it becomes resentment towards the partner, because you're pushing stuff down rather than actually dealing with it.
Yeah.
And I think everybody should go to therapy, not just straight men.
Well, I don't understand why people think, oh, I got to go to the doctor, but I never need a therapist.
It's your mental health.
It's like never taking your computer in for service if it needs it. I don't get it. You know, I've went for so much therapy. I've had so much therapy, and I've had good therapy, and I've had bad therapy. I've had great therapy from my friends, to be honest, you know?
Yeah.
But this is like, and then, like I said, in the gay side of things, it's just as complicated. Relationships and sex and everything beyond, we're kind of being general today. We're not talking about too much about EDS right now.
No, but we can bring it back to that.
No, we're going to come back. But the thing is that, just relationships in general right now are hard to maintain because nobody has an attention span.
Yeah.
And I think hookup apps in the gay community. You're going to talk about the straight community. You can tell me, but because I need to be educated on that. I don't know. I haven't been in the straight community in a long time. Yeah. So, but I know in the gay community, it's become like a dopamine hook where people are constantly getting dopamine spikes by new challenges. And you know what I mean by that.
Yep.
And so new challenge every day. And, I want the next new challenge. And hopefully it's better than the last one. And it's becoming a real quick turnover. And I don't judge anybody for what they do, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of people that are then saying to me, oh, I don't know what's wrong. I can't, I'm lonely and I'm tired of being by myself. And I'm like, well, stop doing what you're doing.
That's the thing.
You have to invest in something for it to be bigger.
100%.
In any relationship. So let's get back to sex in relationships and functioning in relationships.
Yeah.
With EDS, it's really complicated. But in the world in general today, it's really, really complicated.
It's very complicated. And so how do we navigate that? How do we navigate, people are saying that they miss, they want these deep connections with people.
You have to work on it. You have to be willing to invest in it. And that means you have to I can hear all the gay guys going to be rolling their eyes if they're listening to this, but you have to actually go on a date, bitches. You got to go on a date. You got to treat the other person like you want to spend more than 5 minutes with them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's lasted more than 5 minutes, but some don't.
I hope so.
Sorry.
Trust me.
I'm being bad today. Since it's a sex episode, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about sex.
I mean, I don't care if someone says, I don't want a relationship. I want to fuck. I'm like, you know what?
Good for you.
Do it safely. Respect other people.
Yeah.
Have consent. Make sure your boundaries are respected. Have fun. But at 100%. The end of the day, if you're texting me and you're saying, oh, I'm so lonely and oh my God, I'm watching everybody die around me and they're dying alone. It's like, yep. And that pandemic has been going on since Grindr and Squirt and all of those damn apps that are out there that are just highly toxic to one's mental health. That's my opinion.
It's just making us more and more disconnected from each other.
Now, what about the straight world?
The straight world
is it the same?
Is the same.
So what do you guys have? You have Tinder. Is it Tinder?
We have Tinder. We have. I'm going to be honest. I haven't been on. It's been a while since I've been on any of the apps. But I met my last ex on Facebook dating.
Yeah, you need to stay off Facebook dating.
Yeah, that's
the quality
message.
You know what? He's got some stuff that he needs to work on.
Yes,
that boy.
For sure.
And we know this. And kiss him goodbye. You need to go to the therapist, honey.
Yeah. Please listen to Drake.
Yeah.
Go to therapy.
Listen to Daddy. Go to the therapy.
But no, it's the same.
And get away from your mama.
Right. Oh, please.
Let's not start.
Let's talk about.
No. That's a whole other subject.
That's an entirely.
My mother did weird things to me too. I'm like, she made me real codependent. So I totally get this whole thing, by the way.
But do you think that's predominant? Do you think that's part of the issue, that men and women just in general, like, we're always on our phones, we're not connecting with people in general, not just about sex, but relationships,
and it's all very immediate.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it takes a lot of consciousness to be, I want more for that, and how do I get that if that's what I want?
Well,
like you said,
and then some people say they want more, but they've been alone so long that they're so afraid. Hard. Like, okay, so you with your EDS routine, and I'm going to call it an EDS routine because I know. Yeah. So people are not going to understand. Okay, so in a relationship, when you're starting in a relationship, I can't imagine, like, you have your first, you bring your guy home or your girl home, whatever you want. I mean, if you came to me tomorrow and said, I'm going to try women, I'd be like, yeah, no wonder. I totally get it. Have fun.
Honestly, I wish.
Yeah. But the thing is, when you take these, you take your person home for the first time and you're going to be intimate, and we have these idiosyncronicities. Is that what they call it? Is that a good word for it?
That is a perfect word for it.
That aren't like everybody else. And
it takes a lot more preparation.
A bit of instruction manual might be good, and I understand where you'd have to talk about it, right? You would have to tell these people, okay, so I have this problem. Yeah. So if we're going to have sex from like behind, and I'm going to be the thruster, that my hip can come out of place.
And that's a very real
concern. It happens. It's happened to me. So, I mean, this is all really complicated stuff when you get into the relationship stuff and what the partner has to be understanding too. And I know Michael, so I'll give you an example. Like, Michael knows. And if I'm having a really bad day, and, Michael and I have been together for 18 years and we've had a very good sexual relationship for years. And we've maintained that, and we still have tons of fun, and we keep it lively and we keep it spicy. But if we're having a day where I'm not in good shape and my hip, so I have days where I feel this subluxation, this hip coming out of place more often than other days. And I don't know why. I've never been explained to me by a doctor. So anyway, it happens, and he knows, like, if that's happening for like multiple, there's nothing going on. Like, the store's closed, people.
That's the thing. And like, for me, throughout my life, I've gone through long periods of celibacy. And the last long bit was when for 5 years, I was going through surgeries and this and that. And so when I opened myself up to dating and sex, my whole body was completely different. Like, I'll be honest, I'm going to go back to the poop. I can't talk about it's just such a reality for me that I was petrified. I was so afraid of pooping while having sex.
Really?
I was
That would be a horrible thing to have to
think about.
Oh my God.
But I did, and I think it prevented me, even like once I was healed, it prevented me a long time of like, am I actually ready for sex? Because I don't know how my body is actually going to respond, because things are all different down there now.
Well, for women in general with EDS, I think, let's talk about with women.
Yeah, because mine is very specific. But
well, you have a lot of bowel. Well, you don't have any bowel problems. Well, not any large bowel problems anymore. We used to have them. But since the removal, I mean, everything's changed.
Everything has changed.
Yeah. So,
and many of us go through different kinds of surgeries.
And we're all about honesty here. So the appendage that you have on the outside of your body, does that interfere with sex for you?
So I at this point, everything is all inside my body.
Everything.
So at one point, and I kind of wish that I had sex while I had my stoma, just to say like what it would have been like, because at that point my intestine was coming out of my abdomen, and I had to wear this thing that collected my poop,
a bag
on the outside. The bag.
A couple of my clients, their whole lives.
But it's also, I think a lot of us deal with like physical dysmorphia, the way we see ourselves versus because our bodies don't work the way that other people's
Well, I'm just
do.
like, I like wearing sexy stuff when I'm having sex, right? That's my thing. I like, dude stuff, but like, do you like wearing sexy girl stuff?
I love it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine trying to get dressed up in your sexy girl stuff with that hanging off you.
It was like the least sexy. But
if you
honestly,
but here's the thing:
yeah,
if you can own that,
exactly.
if you can own that,
You
there's
can own
nothing you
anything.
can't do.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I'm in my sexy thong and I'm wearing my poop bag, and you're gonna take it, and that's it.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
it. So,
but
I mean, and I'm all up for that type of like, I'm there for that.
You know what's interesting? I was part of, I think it was an all women's EDS group, and they had a thing where a lot of people seemed like really interested and curious about playing with ropes and being tied up.
So the sensation of being tied up for me,
yeah,
I have a paradoxical kind of thing about that. So I really like people don't understand this about EDS. So when you have hypermobile EDS, what happens is the ligaments become lax. We're going to have to keep going over this every once in a while so people understand. The ligaments become lax. The muscle tissue has to be constantly engaging to do what the ligaments are not doing to hold the body together. And in that process, you do get the severe fatigue you get comes from the muscular fatigue, from the constant activation.
Yeah.
Hopefully that you still have that muscle to activate, and some people don't, and then it gets even worse. But the one thing that relieves us, can you imagine taking this body that's been muscle fatigued and then wrapping it with something and allowing it to be able to relax without feeling it's going to fall apart? So when you do put any type of band around things like an SI joint band or a body braid, there's a whole bunch of things for people with EDS. We actually feel overwhelmed by the fact that we can relax.
Right? It is overwhelming. When I got my body braid, I was like, wait, this is how my body, like, this is how it's supposed to feel?
Gay guy invented that.
Really?
Yeah.
He's from Ontario, isn't he?
Gay doctor. Yeah.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it visually, but I also just love how my body feels.
Because I'm terrible with names.
So am I.
I met
and
him.
The memory.
I think his name is Blair or Blaze. Who invented the body braid? Sorry, I'm Googling.
No. Of course,
I'm Googling it. Yeah.
We need to give the people the information.
Yeah. So Blair Vivotic is the inventor of the body braid. So the body braid looks like a big elastic. It kind of makes you look like what I used to call the wigwam bars we used to get when we were kids. It makes the body look like you're a wigwam bar. But it just basically holds everything together. So your ligaments aren't working and your muscles are overworking. And what it does is gives your muscles a break.
And it's amazing.
So I wonder, could you incorporate a body braid in a sex scene? I'm sure you could.
It's obviously a reason, I think, because it goes back to the ropes and being tied up and feeling.
Do you like being like as a zebra? Do you like being in zebras? Or EDS people are referred to as zebras, by the way. Sorry, we're not doing the animal thing right here.
Do you want to explain
I know someone's gonna comment and go, "What's a zebra? Are you guys into that?" And I'm like, no, that's not what it's about, people. But like, so do you like being bonded sexually?
So I've never experimented with that, but how I feel in the body braid it's definitely like kind of piqued my curiosity.
Like to have sex in the body braid?
Yeah.
Why not?
Or like
Why wouldn't you? I could I could totally see doing that. It's kind of hot. It's kind of like space princess kind of looking. Star Trek-y.
Yes.
It could be something like that. Yeah. I think it's kind of cool looking. I wish we could show them a picture. Maybe when we start doing the real podcast where we actually show our faces, we could do stuff like that.
Exactly.
But yeah, you can look up the body braid, and you can see it and how it works. It kind of makes an outfit look really cool if you wear like a body stocking underneath it.
Yeah, it can look pretty sexy.
I think so too. So yes, EDS can be sexy. You need to make the best of what you got.
Exactly. So do you I find that using pillows and things like that have helped. Is that something that you've noticed, or like what, or when you're like done, am I asking too many?
Where are we going here? Well, okay,
where are we going?
So when are we using the pillows? During or afterwards?
Both.
Because afterwards, like the first thing I'll do is just, I need a shower. I need a hot shower.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Hot.
Terrible. Yeah.
That doesn't make your pots flare?
No.
Really? That would make me pass out.
No. See, I'm fine. Not like boiling, but yeah, I need this stimulation after that. Yeah. I'm ADHD, I think. I don't know.
Huh.
I'm not the greatest post-sex cuddler, and my husband is very, very, very autistic, and he is very sensitive to touch post-climactic incident.
Okay, I like how you phrase that.
once we both, I don't have a problem talking about sex. Once we both come, he likes to be just relax on his own.
Yeah.
Because of his sensitivity.
Yeah.
And then me, I like the hot shower. That's my thing, I guess,
Do you find that you tend to get overstimulated easily?
In which way?
In any way that we want to talk about.
Depends on the moon.
It's true.
I know it's true. So during the full moon phases.
Full moon, I was going to say. Full moon. God. Full moons are crazy.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in the hospital on it? This is digressing. But have you ever been...
my clientele when I did hair.
Yeah.
Mostly nurses. So I had a lot of nurses, and you wouldn't believe.
Oh, I've seen.
The one thing they've told me, the general consensus is, oh God, I got to work the full moon.
Because they know. Yeah. They see it.
Yeah, people are crazy.
Yeah,
but generally, I think men, I will say, if we're talking about sextacular kind of zebra things and like the Facebook page, I definitely am hornier during the full moon stage. I don't know about you. How are you doing, Cristie? Are you horny during the full moon stage too?
I'm definitely horny during the full moon. And besides that, I like, as a woman, I feel connected to the moon stages.
Me too.
So like, I'm very... We used to like actually, realize that was a thing. Like, it's real, not just some like woo woo. Like,
we're definitely in people don't back to. We were talking about this before. We should have taped this before. We should have taped what we said before we started.
Yeah.
That's always the way.
Always.
But the thing we were talking about before was that people are just so tuned out of themselves and how they feel about everything.
Yeah.
And this is why relationships are complicated, because everybody's looking for this constant outward stimulation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a distraction.
And it needs to come from all these different sources. And that's why people are not good at relationships. Because when you're in a relationship, you're waking up with that person all the time.
Yeah.
You're doing everything with that person. And then one day you're pooping and then they're in the bathroom. Right. It's just absolutely like there's a part of the relationship that's over when you're pooping and he comes in the bathroom. Or she or they or whatever.
Exactly.
Your partner comes in the bathroom.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I don't give a shit I don't care who's loving anybody else or what relationship you're in.
Neither
or what you want to identify as or what you want to do. That's your fucking life. You know what? I'm really happy for you. But when my partner comes in, let's say partner comes in and I'm taking a shit, I'm still uncomfortable with that.
Yes, I don't want that.
I'm actually coming out right now about this because I think we've done this over the past maybe year or so. And maybe it's because he's seen me at my very weakest.
Yeah.
That he's comfortable enough to do that now. And now we're back to the EDS thing because the EDS made everything really sloppy for a while. Yeah. And I don't mean to use the word sloppy when we're having a sex episode.
When we're talking about sex.
But, there was a lot of things because my first major affliction with EDS was to do with sex.
Are we going where I think we're going?
No. We have 15 minutes left. But basically what happened to me was I had a hypertonic pelvis. People with EDS, because the muscles are constantly overworking. Everything got really, really tight and it choked out my testicles and it burst a blood vessel in my testicles and I ejaculated blood for like 45 or 50 days.
I mean, when you told me that the first time, I was shocked.
It can really affect. That's why they say, "Oh, diagnosis is not important in men. No, who cares?" And blah 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, you bet you're going to care when you start ejaculating semen at fucking 12:30 in the night.
Oh my god!
You know,
I hope that not every man is going to have that experience.
Well, you know, I was ejaculating. Like we're having the sex episode. We're talking about real stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm ejaculating and there's blood everywhere.
Like,
and
how
I
scared
thought, oh
were
my
you?
God, I've got cancer. Oh my God, I'm dying. I stayed up the whole night. I was so upset.
Yeah.
And I was constantly aroused, like to a point where it was abnormal.
Yeah.
And I come to find out that the hypertonic pelvis was tickling my prostate and making me overly aroused all the time. Don't mean to turn all you boys on out there, but this is the way it was. I was like, and by the way, no, I'm not talking about kids. When we say daddy and boys in the gay, so the gay community, we have daddies and we have boys. We have guys like me that are older and cranky and kind of hot and and they call us daddies. And then we have the younger guys who are daddy chasers, who are the younger gay guys, and they're, whatever, 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, that love chasing us older guys. But, so
that's a thing in the gay community.
Totally. Totally. And it's not just a sex thing. So we should talk about that sometime. That's a whole other subject, and it's taken up too much time and I won't hear enough from you. So anyway, that's what was happening to me. And so the hypertonic pelvis, and because I know that the pelvis is a major bone contingent, no pun intended, with females in EDS, but I don't think anybody really knows the implications of what can happen in a hypertonic pelvis in the male with EDS.
No.
So it got complicated. It made me feel like somebody had my balls in a vice for roughly 6 to 8 months. I couldn't pee, and it would took me a long time to pee, and it would burn really bad, and then it would dribble everywhere down my leg 3 minutes later.
And no wonder you were going crazy.
Oh, it was bad. So,
I mean,
sex with zebras, sometimes there's no sex with zebras because zebras are like out of the sex game. I was out of the sex game at that point.
I mean, I've been there. Even the thing that I was really kind of shocked about was in your men's group, the number of men that were talking about pelvic floor issues and SI joint. And it's definitely something that you would just assume a woman, specifically a pregnant woman, deal with mostly that. And even me as a woman who has never had kids had these issues going on. So I think it's something that affects all of us, regardless of gender. And I know, like, you've done some pelvic floor work, and I've also done some pelvic floor work because of the constipation and all of that. But it's really eye-opening. It's not something that I really expected the men to say.
No, I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
We didn't know. And you got to remember, I'd had the C1, C2 problem.
Yes.
There was a subluxation there. So my central nervous system was on overdrive too. So it was the perfect storm of, oh my God, my bowels are in a vice and somebody smashed my brain against a brick wall.
Yeah.
It was just the most messy time of my life. So what's your, I want to talk about you. What's your most messy that you've had to deal with in a relationship, like where you felt like I did? Well, I'm just talking about there where, oh my God, he's looking at me and I'm peeing on the floor, and oh my God, I got to walk with a cane, because I was walking with a cane at that time. And I'm like, I was messy. So at what point did you feel like you were a liability in a relationship, or, felt bad about that and felt messy?
See, I've been single before my last relationship, which was a year. I had been single a very long time, and prior to that, my issues, even though I was born with a dislocated hip, I've had surgeries as a teenager, but none of it really impacted me. Like, I was still able to live and
do your thing,
have my own business. And so prior to that, it never really occurred to me.
So interesting. So going forward will be your thing.
More. Yeah.
Right. You're going to have to learn to navigate, and so will they.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For sure.
When I say they, I just mean it could be a he that identifies as they. So I just say they these days because it seems to be less complicated.
I agree, and I hear you as well. Yeah, but the one thing, kind of going to anatomy a little bit, and the pelvic floor, because this is something in the women's only group. There's something about our vaginas that seem to be different than the average one.
Mm-hmm. Well, the vagina and its tissue are connective. It's made of connective tissue.
And so apparently we tend to be tighter down there and a little bit smaller. And my first experience with a pelvic floor physio, she literally she was doing an exam, a physical exam, and had her fingers inside of me as she's like examining and feeling around. And as she's in there, she told me, you have a very small hole.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And is this a general kind of?
It seems to be.
Okay.
Because smaller
testicles are a thing in men.
Are they?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I don't have huge balls. I have big balls.
And that's an EDS
I have
thing.
huge big ball ideology.
Yeah, ideology.
But I hate to disappoint anybody. I mean, I don't. So I have no ego about this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have any ego about this stuff. So mine aren't massive. No, they work really well.
I think that's more important.
But they're not massive. I don't. That's what I was given, and then I looked it up, and it said, well, people who generally have EDS have smaller testicles. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So
I wonder what the connection is, because it seems to be something like with the small.
Well, when you said the small opening,
stuff.
I was like, isn't that interesting? Because what I read about, in the case study, they were looking at the testicles, and they were. Some of them, I can't remember what they said, misshapen. Now mine aren't misshapen; they're fine.
They're just smaller.
They're just smaller, and they, like I said, everything works really, really well.
Yeah,
really well. Still, just saying, I'm like really grateful for that.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, it's really weird. But I know there's a bunch of things like that are just the EDS thing.
Is that something that men worry about, like the size of your balls?
Oh my God, yes.
Really?
I had a friend. I had a friend who had basically a Dolly Parton implant in him.
What? Yeah. Just because he wanted big balls? Yeah. Because you can act like you have big balls.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. So I do. Yeah. No, he felt so kind of like slighted about what he'd been given physically that he had augmentation. Yeah.
So is it just the balls or the whole thing?
Oh, men are obsessed with penises. I know gay guys are obsessed with penises. Not me. I don't really. Oh God, are we going to go there?
Well, I'm curious about how that might impact your ideal of masculinity, and how that might impact the men who are listening that have EDS and might think
we're going to have nothing. We're going to have a man with a small penis on, I guess.
I mean, just. But then we don't.
You didn't get that, did you?
No, I didn't get that.
I said, you asked me a question about size, and I'm like, well, I guess we're going to have a man with a small penis on so we can get his perspective. Good thing you got a mic cover. I mean, I thought you were going to choke on that one. No pun intended. Jesus. Yeah, there you go. We got a peek on that one.
Sorry.
But yeah,
it just took me a second. It's
men are very attached. Some men have the thing about the size of their penises and masculinity. Yes.
See, I don't think I have a small whatever. I'm more feminine.
You have a smaller vagina, so you're less feminine now.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's curious. I'm very curious about how that impacts.
Big trucks, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Just saying. I mean, we're talking about, I don't know. One of my friends, she's a online sweet person.
Okay.
And he Pandora Box from RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yes.
I think he was, I don't know, he said something about, I can't think it was him that said something about, nice truck, too bad about your penis. It was one of them. I can't remember, but it was really, really funny. And I think, men are obsessed with big things, and gay guys are really obsessed. So I don't know. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying that's my observation. And by the way, these are my observations. I'm sure I'm going to get lots of shit for this one. But
sorry for putting you on the hot
seat. No,
seat
it's okay.
But
it's totally fine.
Interesting to me. because it does. I don't know.
And some guys have small penises and are proud of them, by the way. And
there's nothing wrong with a small penis. I would rather a small penis than one that's too big.
Listen, it only goes so far anyway, right? Before it starts to get uncomfortable.
Then it hurts.
Yeah.
And I already have pain. So, like, for me,
there's the other thing. So if you've got a tight, smaller vagina, like we always said when we started this podcast, we're not going to be ashamed of nothing.
No, I'm not ashamed.
No, we've talked about my small balls when we're talking about your small vagina now.
Exactly.
So we have ball vagina equity here on this podcast. Ben Snap and Chat is ball and vagina equal.
Thank you.
So
I'm proud of it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it must be the same thing, because if you were being penetrated by your partner who by a man, and he had a big penis, this would be uncomfortable, correct?
I had a relationship with a man that was too big, and it was not fun.
Yeah.
Like, our sex life was not, I did not enjoy sex at all with him. And I enjoy sex.
So I have a friend who is gay.
Yeah.
Who is like, should be getting the Anatomy Award for what is between his legs, and his partner finds the same thing. And his partner doesn't want to have sex either because it's uncomfortable.
It hurts. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean,
see, goes to show you, too much.
It's better.
Exactly. Nothing against the guys with the big ones, just saying,
Yeah. I might, it's just not a good fit. We can just leave it at that.
So do you ask?
How big are
Knowing
you?
that you're a girl with EDS and you've got a smaller vajayjay, I mean, does this come up?
I mean,
or do you wait and you just
kind of wait
and kind of put yourself in a precarious, uncomfortable situation?
Because literally, because I find, like, once you open that door with the sex and the talk, like, that's all it becomes. And for me, and no shade against anyone, but the type of person I am, I understand energy. I know that I'm influenced by energy. For me, sex, I can't just have sex with random people because I know I take on people's energy.
Me too.
That's a total other conversation.
That's why the hookup culture never worked for me.
It never worked for me either.
No, I've never. I hooked up once, by the way.
And how did that go?
It made me know,
like, emotionally.
I knew I was gay. It was the first man I was with. I didn't know. I didn't know. So I needed to solidify this.
Okay.
Needless to say, we solidified it in a Chevette. Close to a bush. I mean, we said we were going to be honest. He was a hot military. He was a hot military guy. I had my first experience with a hot military guy, and I was very, very, like, I was comfortable in that moment with him, and I realized, okay, I'm gay. He helped me with that, and I went home and
that's great.
Had a bath.
Yeah.
Because I kind of felt weird about it, because I'm a strange creature, because so I am demisexual.
Okay.
Coming out. I keep on coming out about everything.
I know a lot of things today.
Demisexual. So that means I have to have an emotional attachment to the person that I am engaging sexually with.
I didn't even know that there was a term for that.
That's
but
demi.
I guess I'm coming out as well today.
So you're demi too.
Yeah.
I can totally see that.
Yeah.
So so a demisexual person in a relationship with a person who's not is
hard.
It's harder.
Yeah.
It's harder.
There's so many layers. It's so complicated. Let alone
humans
with our bodies.
Are complicated.
Yes.
The male-female relationship is complicated. The male-to-male relationship is complicated. The female-to-female relationship can be complicated. We are fucking complicated.
Humans are complicated.
And I don't know about you, but the world's been getting on my nerves. Oh, girl.
I hear you.
It's part of the reason. Remember I said there's no sex? It's not just because my hip is bothering me. It's because, this is just sucking the life out of me.
Yeah.
It's
and
not in a good way.
We're talking
about sex, baby. Let's talk about sex, baby. It's sucking me, but not in a good way.
Not in the way we want.
It's sucking all my energy. To be very, very serious for a moment.
Yeah.
The sex stuff is fun to talk about, though, you gotta say.
Is.
But yeah, like, let's be honest. I mean, it's really hard to exist. I wake up in this world and I go, oh, I come out of my dreams. I have these great dreams lately. I don't know why.
So have I.
Very vivid.
Yes, I was an astronaut last night.
Wow. Like Katy Perry and her fake astro ship.
Yes.
Or Jeff
sorry to jump in there.
Bezos. Yeah. Never mind. It's this is all bad, by the way.
Yes.
That little space expo wasn't even real.
No.
I don't think it was real.
I don't.
No, into the space dildo and up in the air and back down again. That wasn't real. It's all a scam. They're shamming us. But, it's the whole thing. It's the soul-sucking hate and, what do you call it? Patriarchy? Is that what you're calling it?
Patriarchy, yeah.
I can't stand it anymore. They're giving us dudes a bad name. And I think that this has been a great episode. But again, I think what we've done is we've only just dug up like 10 more topics.
Surface. Exactly. Exactly.
So
it really, I think we could expand on so many things that we just touched on today.
Yeah, and I think
we should.
We should. And
I agree.
But the other thing is that I think what we're going to take away from this, I know what I'm going to take away from this, is that everything is just complicated these days.
It really is.
And relationships, especially with people that have EDS, can be very messy.
Yeah. And we're extremely sensitive. I find that people with EDS feel a lot
more.
Yes.
Yeah. It's because I think the pain signals are constantly firing.
It's the connective tissue. That's how we feel energy.
Yeah. They say that they say that's what they say. So they say that because there's constant pain signaling.
Yeah.
Everything gets really tangled up and it becomes an immense amount of emotion. And people don't get that. There's people in Michael's family that don't understand what's happened to me at all.
Same with my family.
Yeah. And there's been like breaks in the family because of that, because my behavior has been really bad sometimes and like totally off character because I was on a certain medication and it was making me psycho. Yeah. And they don't get it. They refuse to get it. So
and unfortunately that's where a lot of people are. They're just, I don't know if it's because they're overwhelmed and they're just stuck.
They just don't want to. From what I see from the perspective of the people that are in our family, they just don't want to get it. They don't want to understand. And they don't want to understand what Michael's been through with me as my partner. It's been really difficult for him.
Yeah.
And like I said,
you're lucky that you have such an amazing husband.
I'm really lucky.
Yeah,
I know I am.
Yeah.
I know I am. Yeah, and he stands by me no matter what. Like no matter what. And I've been really difficult over the past 2.5 years. It's been rough. The medication and stuff like that. Yeah. EDS relationships, let's just say
they're not easy.
Wrap this episode by saying like they're not easy. I'm in one, Michael's in one, and we coexist in one together. And there's a lot of compromises that are made right now. So to everybody out there with EDS in a relationship with somebody and you don't have EDS, we understand. And that's why we put up, there's various pages on Facebook. You can talk about these things. Hopefully you'll be able to talk to a therapist and work through this because it's difficult on the person who doesn't have it too.
It really is. Yeah. It is.
What else you got to say before we say bye?
I think that what we're experiencing with chronic illness and how it's kind of redefining intimacy for us in general, you're not alone. And if what we're talking about resonates, we would love for you to share this with others.
Yeah, share the podcast with other people who have complicated relationships and small vaginas and smaller balls than average. Share it for all of us. Share it for all of us who stand tall no matter what. Small balls or small vaginas. It doesn't matter, people. Chin up.
We see you and we love you.
We love you no matter what. And that is the end of this episode. We're 3:33 over.
I know.
So
thank you for hanging with us.
And thank you for being here with me, Cristie. This has been fun. I was really looking forward to having this chat about all of these, the mishmash chat about relationships and complications between men and women and women and women and men and other people who identify as other things with other people who identify as other things who have complicated relationships. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you. See you next time.
See you next time. I don't know what the next episode is going to be because we didn't talk about that yet because we really don't know what we're doing.
We're still figuring this out, people.
Yeah. So the next one's going to be a surprise.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. All right, Cristie, what are you going to do right now?
I am going to go have a bath, I think. Just to calm and relax myself.
You're gonna take that calming bath and wash it all away, girl.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Wash it all.
I'm going to go eat a pork chop.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you on the flip side on the next episode, which will be episode 5. Oh, my God. I can't believe it.
I know.
Have a good night, Cristie.
Good night.
Bye, all.
Bye.